Tions havoman goes silent, shes already decided opening ku 1-2 means smiling gently slow tone. Gwiazdka med their friends. Have you ever been in a conversation where a woman, your mother, sister, with a dear friend, soleague, suddenly goes silent, reflecting, no words, used silence. And that silence is louder than an stream you've ever heard. Stions, gwiazdka pause for effects, always say, when a man is angry, it plates mig fly, words mig burn. But when a woman goes quiet, that's not a pause button. That's the end credits. Stories segment 1 liegt humor and relatability od 2 means letel yo a story. A young man came to me on se panits in fisees. Oprab hui, I hesait, me vife has stopped talking to me, I think she's upset. Frat should I do I asked, long has it been hesait, o 3 days. I smilet po me der boch, she decided on day 1. She's just letting you discover it on day 2. Audience hutzkles silence is a woman's lasper, and often it is more powerful than all heaviest words combined. Deeper insights who women go silent chichteri means no. I'm not talking about passive aggression here. I'm talking about that deep, still silence so messing inside the hair has already klitsket. When a woman goes silent, it is betzause. She has explained health pension times and you still don't listen. She has bragged pre-sonnet and nothing has hanged. She has started the relationship in her head alone file you outside your phone. Silence is not weakness. It is a decision. Pause every woman knows. What's my fall on the affairs. But me silence will reach your soul. Story segment would via emotional connection me 4 motiore means there is a story from ancient times. Agvinonce stopped speaking to her king. Demniste spanitsket, no arguments, no demands, nothing. Justa gedignity, the king after weeks told buried. Tunes, asked her, povhudo you not speak to me anymore. She said, pagardener varsa plan betzause, it will bloom. But when the plan has viscered in his head, no amount water matters. If stopped speaking, betzause me heart has stopped waiting. And that me fiends is when the king realized, her silence was not a punishment. It was the final page of their story. Lesson de Gaur Gopal das fisted virtue means relationships are like musical instruments. They need tuning, questions. The string will snap. To lose no music. When a woman goes silent, it's not just the string snapping. It's her deciding she won't play the instrument anymore. Men often ask me how we prevent this. I say, listen before she stops speaking. Care before she stops needing you. Value her before she some splitzeles to someone else. Closing talk I 1-2 means some they are friends. Silence is not empty. Close off answers you ignore it. It is full of pain she buried. It is full of love she no longer wishes to give. If a woman you love has gone silent, don't wait for her to speak. Listen to the silence. And remember, questions. When woman talking, she's not thinking of leaving. She's already left in her heart. Smiles gently take care of the woman in your life. Your mother, your sister, your partner, before the silence arrives. Betzausion se it does, you're not in a conversation anymore. You're in the epilogue. Misunderstand silence. We think of it as a pause. Like when the Wi-Fi stops working for a 5 seconds and then come back. Questions. We imagine it's temporary, that the connection will magically restore itself. But in the heart of a woman, silence is rarely a pause button. It's more like a power switch. Once it's turned off, the licht doest flitsker batsk, the room stays dark. Many men and even for family members think, poh, she's used to upset, Jons shall clatter. But what they don't realize is that when a woman becomes truly silent, too, it is not betzause she doest have words, is betzause she has already spoken them countless times. She has repeated herself in different ways, used gentle words, pleading words, and even tearful words. And the very time those words were ignored, dismissed, or underestimated, so men think the hair started to close. It's like a soup. You put coffee into it every morning, it's useful. But if you're pouring even when the soup is full, the liquid spills everywhere. Eventually, you stop pouring, not betzause coffee is bad, betzause the soup is already overflowing, and nothing more can be added. a woman's words are like that. Se her patience zu powerflows, she the spill more words, she simply stops pouring. Let me give you a very common, almost fun example from daily life, but it's so real. Imagine a vifereminding her husband to fix the lacking tap in the kitchen. Dai one she says it nitzele, verschremins him play fully, dai five she says it more firmly. Dai ten, the questions like a mini waterfalle vere nicht and she's repeating herself with frustration. After a month she says nothing pions, the tap is still lacking but she no longer bothers telling him. At this tag the husband might think, pach, she's fine visit nov, but no, she's not fine. She has used decided that telling you doest vocations. She has getly made up her mind to either live with the problem without expecting your help or find another way to fix it, maybe call a plumber herself. That silence was not acceptance. It was a decision. This same thing happens in emotional matters. A woman makes up with fellow if you come home and shit on your phone for house. She express this directly, or drop findesking for a while together, or planning small moments. But if a very attempt is made with a imtirate or will do it later or simply no hang at all, she stops asking. And when she stops asking, it does mean she has stopped feeling lonely. It means she has stopped believing that you will hang. That's the moment her greatly starts the talking. You see words are a bridge between two hearts. Every time a woman speaks and is not heard, a plank in that bridge betsomes loose. At first the bridge can still hold, but over time, if no one fix the planks, the bridge betsomes unsafe. And on a day she decides she will no longer cross it. She will stand on her side and let the silence fill the gap. This is silence is not temporary. It is the result of many ignored moments, a collection of small disappointments that build up over time. It's not an overnight decision. It's months or years of training, exploring, and hoping, until hope greatly runs out. Ion se me uple at a seminar. De vife barele spoke vole time. De husband jokoshes de gvietype. A but later. In a private conversation she told me o di uset to betalkative, I uset to share everything. But after years of him not listening, I realized me words were used background noise in his life. So I saved me energie. Questions. That's no gviet me nature, that's gvietnes be decision. And that decision is powerful. Becau se silence has way, can be argued with but silence cannot. Words can be twisted but silence is clear. Words might be forgotten. Silence lingers in the mind, making people wonder what they did wrong. It is like a closed door. You can knock, but you're not sure if anyone will open it again. If we want to prevent this kind of silence, the lesson is simple but there. Questions while words feel they are still being spoken. When someone you love is still talking to you, whether it's about big things like emotional needs, small things as yours. Lacking taps, window of opportunity. It means stay still, believe in your willingness to hang. But if you keep waiting, thinking you'll fix it later, you might discover that later never comes, but so se de silence has already arrived. And once it does, it's hard to reverse. Silence, this context, is like a sealed envelope. Inside is her decision, her final hoitse, her gviet godbe. You can play at argue questions. But more often than not, once she has sealed that envelope in her heart, it's not meant to be opened again. So remember, sa woman's silence is rarely about her needing pospace to think. It's about her already having talked wege and decided. It's the last chapter, not the middle. It's the destination, not the journey. And the most tragic part. The people around her often realize it only when it's too late. Questions. If you truly care about the woman in your life, whether it's your wife, sister, mother, questions, pay attention before the silence comes. Because the day her voice disappears from your daily life is the day you'll realize how flawed her presence to all of us. Questions. And that's when you'll understand. Her silence was not, it was the moment she walked away in her head. And she did without even making a sound. Questions. Silence in a woman does just appear like a sudden storm. It builds up slowly, almost invisibly, like a clouds gathering over days until finally the rain falls. before that silence arrives tions. There is always a long history of trying to speak, to explain, trying to make herself understood, and not just once or twice but repeatedly. It's the repeated ignored attempts, communicated that eventually hear of the desire to try again. Imagine this in everyday life. Your phone battery is low, you plug into the charger. The first time it does charge, you adjust the cable. The second time, you switch the socket. The third time, you hedge the adapter. But after trying or 6 times saying no response, what happens? We stop trying. You put the phone aside and think it's useless enough. Nothing will work. That is exactly how a woman feels when her repeated attempts to communicate fail on the affairs. Her emotional battery no longer hages, so she stops plugging in. In the beginning, she will use gentler reminders. She will say, "I feel hurt when you don't pay attention to me." If that doesn't work, she will try being more direct questions. Pay need you to spend more time with me. If that still doesn't work, she might express it through questions, making plans, initiating conversations, trying to create moments together. But when all these efforts are brushed aside or acknowledged without action, she starts to feel invisible. And when someone feels invisible, they begin to disappear, not physically at first, but emotionally. Once a young woman at a workshop told me about her marriage. She said before years he told him he felt alone. At first, he said he understood but nothing hanged. Then he laughed it off as if he was being dramatic. Later, he told me he was overthinking. Eventually, he stopped telling him anything at all. When he asked how she felt after that, her answer was simple. Questions, but not because things got better. Painful because he stopped expecting anything. That is the resignation that comes after too many ignored conversations. It's important to understand that a woman's repeated attempts to communicate are not a sign of weakness or nagging. They are a sign of investment. People don't keep explaining themselves to someone they don't care about. Questions, a very repeated attempt is a gift. A chance for the other person to listen, to improve, to make the relationship stronger. But when those are ignored, she eventually stops offering them. Think of it like knocking on a door. The first time, quest quickly. The second time, you can knock a bit louder. The third time, you call out. But if no one answers after 10 knocks, stop. You walk away. You don't keep standing there forever, hurting your hand against a door that will never open. This is what happens in relationships, romantic, familial, or even friendships, when communication is repeatedly ignored. She knocks on the emotional door again and again, but when it stays closed, she finds another place to stand. And here is the part many people miss. Those repeated ignored attempts are not always dramatic or obvious. Sometimes there small moments, sharing something important and hearing only a distracted poem, asking for and being told a later every single time, opening up about fairs and being met with yokes instead of empathy. Time this small dismissal spill up into a mountain of disappointment. And when the mountain becomes too thick to climb, questions, she does try anymore. I remember another example from a corporate setting. Questions, a female employee tried to raise a consensus in her team meetings. The first time her manager said, "Powell think about it." The second time he said, "Powell talk later." The third time he ignored it entirely. But the fourth time, questions, she did speak up at all. Not because she had nothing to say, but because she realized her voice did matter in that space. A few months later, she resigned. Her silence was sudden. It was the final step to repeated neglect. And that's why we must be careful, not just in our homes, questions, but in every relationship, to notice when someone is trying to communicate. It might seem repetitive to us. Repetition means giving us multiple chances. When a woman says the same thing in different ways, questions, she's not trying to annoy you. She's trying to be understood. She's hoping maybe this time you'll hear her differently. The tragedy is that often, people don't realize how many times they ignored her until she's talking altogether. And then they say, "How did you tell me?" But she did. Many times weren't listening. So, if there is a woman in your life who keeps bringing up the same topics, whether it's about your relationship, your habits, her needs, or even her dreams, understand that she's not doing it because she enjoys repeating herself. She's doing it because it matters to her. Every repeated attempt is an act of hope, but hope has limits. And when it runs out questions, the silence that follows is not temporary, it's the echo of all the judicium hear her voice when she still believed you told. Silence is never the starting point, it's the destination reached after a long road of conversations. And when you finally arrive there, it's not a place you can actually have questions. That's why it's so important to pay attention to the journey, to the small, repeated cries for connection, before you find yourself standing in the middle of her silence, wondering how you got there. Words are often born in the heat of the moment. We speak because fear, anger, joy, excitement. Words are reactive by nature, but silence truth is different. It is not the heat of a reaction, it is the psalm of a conclusion. When a woman becomes silent, is rarely because she doesn't know what to say. It's because she has already decided all questions, took it wrong and decided that speaking further serves no purpose. Her silence is not confusion, it's clarity. You see, when someone reacts, their emotions are still in motion. They want a response, they hope for a hang, they're still engaged in the process. But when they resolve something internally, they no longer need a debate, an apology, or even an explanation. They have already arrived their answer, and they don't your permission to accept it. Questions. That's who silence often fails heavier than an argument. Because an argument means the door is still open, but silence means the door is closed, locked, and the key has been thrown away. Think of it your thrones. When a lawyer is arguing passionately, it's because the verdict has not yet been reached. There is still hope to influence the decision, but once the judge's gavel comes down, the verdict is announced. There is no more arguing, just a quiet acceptance of whether you full or bitter. That moment is final. In a relationship, a woman's silence is that gal. It says, or he have decided. This chase is closed. In daily life, this plays out in subtle ways. Let's take the example of a mother and her grown son. She's been telling him for years to take better care of his health, to eat well, to go for walks, to sleep on time. At first, questions. She says it her firmly, then with concern, but after years of saying him this with her advice, she stops bringing it up. She no longer asks if he's eaten. She no longer reminds him to go for a head scoop. To him, questions. It might feel like she finally stopped nagging. But in truth, she has simply accepted that he will make his own choices, questions, and she has made her own decision. To stop trying, silence is not a pause in her love, it's the resolution of her effort. Another example. A wife has been asking her husband to plan something special for her anniversary. The first year she hints, the second year she asks directly. The third year she expresses disappointment, but the fourth year she doesn't mention it at all. She might smile and accept a simple or happy anniversary, but instead she has resolved that she will no longer expect grand gestures from him. Her silence is not because she has promoted on in joy, but because she has made peace with her disappointment. That's the power of resolution. It ends the conversation without needing a single word. The reason silence speaks so loudly is because it forces a person to fill in the blanks. When someone shouts at you, you focus on defending yourself against the words. But when someone is quiet, your own thoughts start talking to you. You reply old conversations, you wonder what went wrong, you feel the weight of absence. That's why silence can be more unsafe than shouting. It doesn't just fill the air, it fills your mind. I once spoke to a man told me about a friend he lost to with. He said over used total every Then, after a misunderstanding, she stopped calling. She never told upset, but she was silence. It was the offending. I kept wondering questions. Did I something wrong? Did I miss something? What he did realize was that she had already decided. In her mind, she had explained herself enough in the past, and the friendship no longer felt mutual. She dit netto anonunze I her silence side everything. In relationships, vhese romantic familial, vestienships, we often underestimate the finality of silence. We think it's a break, a zolling of period a phase. Silence born from resolution is not a break, it's the end of the sentence. It's not a comma, it's a full stop. Questions. And the most dangerous part is that often come without warning. On a day she's still talking, still expressing herself. The next questions. She's gviet not to anger, but of acceptance. This is hyping attent before a silence arrives is so crucial. When a woman is still talking, even if it's in frustration or repetition, it means she still believes her words might hang so messing. But once her words turn to silence, it means she no longer needs an answer, but also she already has one. We also need to understand that silence is not necessarily cold or cruel. In fact, it can be deeply compassionate toward herself. It's a way of protesting her acts or causing not to exhaust her energy on some one for will not hang. Silence can be a form of self-respect. It's saying, po evalue mental emotional well-being to muhto keep ficting a battle setaliadi over. And heres deone, the moment of silence that comes from resolution oftes then makes a person finally pay attention. But beten, the onefho is silent, is no longer waiting for them to notice. She has moved, maybe not physically but emotionally. And once that emotional shift happens, words cannot bring her back, but also she's not looking for words anymore. She's already for answer in the gviet. So when you encounter a woman's silence, don't just assume she's being moody or distant. Ask yourselves, has she already decided? Has her silence been some final chapter of this story? But also once that happens, questions. The converse no longer between you and her. It's between you and the echo of everything she said to tell you. And in that conversation, her silence will always speak louder than any words you might wish to say. When a woman stops explaining herself, it is one of the clearest signs that she has shifted her priorities. At the surface questions, it may look like she's withdrawn or given up on the relationship, the conversation, or the situation. But at its core, this hunger is not about giving up, it's about protecting her peace. It's not about being cold or stubborn. It's about hosting her mental and emotional well-being over endless, exhausting debates that gone of her. You see, explanations require energy. They require patience, emotional investment, and a genuine hope that the other person will understand. When a woman explains, she's offering you a bridge into her world, her feelings, her perspective, her needs. She's saying, oh Herre, let me help you see what you see. Every explanation is an act of trust. It's her that if she opens up her heart and lays out her thoughts, you will meet her halfway. When that bridge is crossed ceaselessly, when her words are misunderstood, dismissed or twisted to many times. Questions. She learns that explaining is not was at all it takes on her. And so she has a silence. Not because she has nothing to say, but because she has everything to protest. Let me give you a simple everyday example. A wife might tell her husband, Jones, povenu kom anti-miatele go on your phone, it makes me feel unimportant. The first time she says it softly, the second time she says it more firmly, the third time she explains in detail things he will understand the emotional gap creates. But if time questions, she's met with the overreacting or amused relaxing or no real hang at all, she will stop explaining. The next time he comes home and reaches for his phone, she won't say a word. She'll sit quietly, maybe even smile. Questions, but that smile will be the mask over her decision. I won't keep hurting myself trying to make him see. That's what people often miss. Silence after explanations is passive-aggressiveness. It's self-preservation. It's the realization that continuing to explain will only drain her force, and she values her peace to omuhtoke pouring into a bottomless soup. Another scenario, think of a doctor trying to explain to her parents why she's causing a different career path than they expect. First, she brings research, examples and reasons. They interrupt, dismiss, or insist she's making a mistake. She tries again, hoping they'll understand her dream. but after a few of the same resistance, she stops explaining. She simply makes her hoice gvietle. It's also she has realized her peace of mint matters more than convincing someone who is not ready to be convinced. Protesting peace is not about being selfish. It's about recognizing that is within your control and that is. Explanations are an investment. But if the listener is truly listening, that investment turns into a loss. When the most emotionally intelligent thing to in that moment is to stop throwing God and go after batutsomes. The beauty of this shift is that it often marks a woman's growth. In her early years, she might have argued endlessly, fought for hours, and tried a very possible way to make herself understood. Questions britiges her that peace is more valuable than winning a debate. You can't force someone to see what they refuse to see. You can't make someone care about what they already decided is unimportant, so she stops explaining, not as an act of surrender, as an act of strength. He once spoke to a woman who had gone years of misunderstandings in her marriage. She told me, I used to think love man explaining myself until he understood. But no fisi love for myself means knowing when to stop. I that lines truths me, love for yourself means knowing when to stop. That's the heart of protecting peace. In workplaces, this is used as true. An employee might try to explain to her manager how projects needs more time or a different approach. Questions, if her explanations are constant brushed off, she will eventually stop speaking up. She'll simply do her job, so let's her paihetsk. Protest henece peace no longer engaging in a futile but scant force. People might label her as agvieti o po disengage questions. But in reality she has just stopped investing her mental energy in places that don't value it. Questions. What's interesting is that when she stops explaining, the other person often notices the absence, and sometimes it's only they begin to listen. But by that point, she might no longer be interested in being heard. Her peace has become her priority and her silence is the valtat towards it. This is who, if a woman in your life has stopped explaining herself, you should not see it as an invitation to push her into a debate or demand that she will say facts on her mind. If she's hosen silence, it's better the time for explanations has passed. The respectful thing to do is to reflect on who she felt the need to protect her peace from you in the first place. The truth is, explanations are a gift, and once that gift is withdrawn, you can't demand it back. Protesting peace is about hosting battles visele, and sometimes the wisest hoice is not to fix at all. For a woman, that hoice often comes after many exhausting attempts to be understood. It's a good but firm declaration. Questions. I hose me well-being over your understanding. So when she stops explaining, don't mistake it for indifference. See it for what it is, a powerful act of self-care, a turning point where she steps out of the storm and into the psalm she creates for herself. And once she finds that psalm, it's hard to lure her back into house. Her pace her home. Questions. And she will protest it even if it means closing the door on conversations she once folk to have. Questions. A relationship whether it's between partners, friends, siblings or even colleagues is like a musical instrument. Questions. It doesn't matter how expensive the instrument is or how skilled the player, if you don't tune it regularly, the sound will go out of harmony. Even the most beautiful violin will produce a ring notice if it's neglected. In the same way, even the most loving relationship can fail wrong when it's not cared for consistently. Tuning in relationships means paying attention. It means not teaching the small hanges, the shifts in mode, the kwiecks that go unspoken. It means making small adjustments so that the melody between two people stays harmonious. Neglect, on the other hand, is not as dramatic or intentional. Sometimes it's simply the slow fading of effort, forgetting to ask of someone's diverse questions, the little gestures, not making time for conversations, assuming that love will sustain itself without care. Think of a marriage. In the beginning, both partners are attentive. They noticeach others' favorite thoughts, they send sweet messages, they celebrate small wins together. This is when the instrument is freshly tuned, the music is vibrant, e very note fels alive. But over time, if uneori boss stop the effort in the music hanges, they start acting together in silence, spending evenings on separate devices, forgetting anniversaries, or brushing off each feelings. No big fight happens, no dramatic betrayal, but the emotional strings loosen and the music fades. I once heard a story about a man who owned an old guitar. He loved it within his use and played daily, but as days passed, he left it in the corner of his room untouched. When finally picked it up again after years, the strings were rusted and the sound was unpleasant. He said plays the same guitar, but it doesn't sound the same anymore. I relationships work the same way. The double are the same, but if you don't keep tuning the bond, it doesn't feel the same anymore. Their life gives us countless examples. A moser and doctor who se to share everything make drift apart simply because they stopped talking about the small details of life. A friendship that's once full of laughter might feeling distant because non makes the effort to head skin anymore. It's not that the love or care is gone. It's that the connection has been left untuned for too long. Questions, emotional disconnect doesn't happen overnight. It's the result of many tiny moments when attention was given. When a partner says, the infine, and you don't look into te resto hetsk, if te reale. Question someone resto share te dream and you reto distracted to listen fully. When an argument happens and you sweep it under the rug instead of resolving it, moment on its seems harmless, but together questions, they create a distance that feels impossible to cross later. In music tuning is not a only time job. Even during a performance, a skilled musician will pause to adjust the strings if something sounds off. Similarly, relationships require constant questions. If something feels wrong, if there is tension, if someone feels unheard, if there is fighting, it's a sign to tune the connection. This makes men having a heartfelt conversation, spending time together, or even just asking, bare okay neglects is dangerous because it feels a certain effort. You tell yourself, poveltalt later of take no feel of them, you don't need to say it. But later does always come, and love unexpresses kart of a like love unfelt. That's when emotional disconnect creeps in. Two people still sharing the same space but living in completely different worlds. Once an elderly couple who had been married for over 50 years. When he asked them their sets read the wife side, we never stopped talking even when we were angry. We never stopped listening, even when we thought already knef had the other person would say. We kept tuning the strings. It had wisdom struts the deeply. It's not grand gestures that keep a relationship alive, it's the regular tuning that prevents disconnection. When neglect takes over, silence become the norm, not the peaceful. Questions cortable silence of people who understand a hoser, but the heavy silence of people who have nothing left to share. Questions. The lauter tance filled the room is replaced by polite conversations or worse, no conversations at all. And the most heartbreaking part. Some time boss people feel the disconnect but don't have to start tuning again, so they simply live with the dissonance. That's who the best time to tune a relationship is not after a fight, not after a year of drifting apart, but in the everyday moments, send the message. Make the question questions, notice the little things. A musician doesn't wait for the strings to break before tuning the instrument. They adjust them before the performance begins, during the performance and after it ends. Neglect make feel harmless today, over time. It will rob the relationship of its music. Once the music is gone, even the memory of it starts to fade. But when you tune consistently, when you keep showing up with care, attention, effort, the melody not only stays alive, it grows rich over time. A relationship that is tuned regularly becomes like a favorite song, familiar, comforting, and full of joy no matter how many times you play it. But a relationship neglected but it becomes like another guitar in the corner. Once beautiful, no only reminder of what should have been. So if the music between you and someone you love sounds fine, don't wait for it to disappear. Pick up the instrument. Tighten the strings, play the melody again. Because the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to bring the sound back. Antonce silence takes over, it's no longer a song, it's an ending. One of the most powerful truths about relationships is this. Most silences that break bonds should have been avoided if someone had truly listened to all questions. Listening is about hearing the words spoken, it's about seeing the feelings hidden between those words, understanding the unspoken emotions, and responding viscere before the wound becomes too deep. When you listen early, you even the heart from reaching the point where it decides speaking is useless. The tragedy is that many people only start listening after it's too late, after the other person has gone quiet, after the emotional distance has grown, after the connection has started to wither. They begin to value the voice only when it's gone, but silence does appear out of nowhere. Is the final stage of a long process of feeling unheard. Early listening is like watering a plant before it wilts. It keeps the roots alive, the leaves green, and the flowers blooming. Take the example of a couple. The wife says, or if like we don't spend enough time together. If the husband listens early, he won't use not answer poverty. He will ask, of had volke you feel more connected. Of kan I make more time, ten and he will act on it. Dat smalats of early listening sena message, your feelings matter to me, and willing to make a hanges nof. But if he brushes it aside, telling himself hell de alvis it later, by the time he come back to it, she might have already stopped wanting that time together. Early listening is also about not teaching the first six of disconnection. Questions. It's all being the way some honest on hanges when they speak to you, the way they stop bringing certain topics up. Or the way they smile does ter es anymore. Tese are small indicators that they are feeling unheard or unseen. When you notice tese signs and address them immediately, you stop silence before it has a chance to grow. I remember a story from a friend who worked in customer service. He said, po the ashes complaints to solve were the honest I listened to right away. Questions. The hardest honest were from people who had complained before but were ignored. By the time they reacted me, they did one solutions they wanted to leave. That's exactly how relationships work. If you listen early, problems are smaller, conditions are softer, and solutions are possible. But if you wait, the person might have already emotionally patched their backs. Listening early requires humility. It means accepting that the other person's perspective might reveal something uncomfortable about yourself. It's no easy to hear that you overheard someone, even unintentionally. But that discomfort is nothing compared to the pain of realizing later that you should have saved the relationship simply by paying attention. In friendships, early listening can make all the difference. Imagine a friend saying, po you've been so busy lately, I miss hanging out. Post questions. If truly listen, you won't just log it off. You'll make a time weak to meet or call. If you don't, questions, they'll stop reaching out not because they don't care, but because they've decided you're too busy for them. That slow withdrawal is avoidable if you simply act on their words feel they're still speaking. Even in families, early listening is a gift. A hilt for size po I don't like a show is used talking about classes. They make it be think that bullying loneliness or a struggle they don't know to explain. If a parent listens early and digs deeper, they support themselves before the problem grows. But if they say questions, and don't be dramatic or everyone has show, it they think the hilt that opening is pointless and eventually the hilt stops shining altogether. The beauty of early listening is that it builds trust. When someone says that you are quickly on their concerns, they feel safe bringing things to you the future. Questions. Take their words won't be wasted. This trust is like a bridge that gets stronger with each conversation. Questions. Making it almost impossible silence to destroy the bond. On the other hand, late listening often comes with regret. By the time you finally learn into hear the other person's truth, they might have stopped offering it. You might say questions. Otel me fransk eant tail respond vis onosing im fine questions. I buttat po fine is not peace, its degviet valteve builto protets themselves afto omane ignoret attempts. Question staining e arle does reguire grand gestures. It's about being fully present in the moment, not distracted by your phone or your thoughts file someone is speaking. It's about asking follow-up questions, showing genuine curiosity, demonstrating true action-like feelings have been understood. Most importantly, it's about acting before a decile arrives, because once it does, the conversation is no longer about solutions, it's about goodness. If you think about it, relationships don't usually because of on a big event. They and because of many small moments here on a person felt unheard and the other did notice. Questions? Listening those moments into opportunities for connection instead of cracks in the foundation. So, questions. If there is someone in your life has been speaking either softly or with frustration, listen now. Questions for them to go silent. Don't wait for the dive when you realize you missed their voice. Because the truth is, questions, behind your desperate gain, they might have already given it to someone else, someone for listening when it mattered. Early listening is not just about preventing silences. It's about nurturing so deeply that silence never even feels like an option. It's about chatting the whisper before it becomes an echo and making sure the message between four hearts never stops playing.